welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History. I'm Claire Ridgway of the Anne Boleyn Files and also the Tudor Society websites. I'm also author of several history books, those are just a few of them. And I'm here with you today, the 7th of February. Today I'm going to take you back to the 7th of February 1526, which of course is in the reign of the iconic King Henry VIII. On this day in 1526, the traditional Shrovetide Joust took place at Greenwich Palace. Now, chronicler Edward Hall tells us about this joust, and he's one of my favourite sources because he's a primary source, a contemporary source, meaning that he was actually there at the time writing about these events and people. And he records it. He records that the king, Henry VIII, led a team of 11 men on one side against a team of 11 men led by Henry Courtenay, Marquess of Exeter. The king's team and their horses were apparelled in cloth of gold and silver, embroidered with what Edward Hall describes as a man's heart in a press with flames about it, and also the motto, "Declare je n'ose," or "Declare I dare not." Exeter and his men were apparelled in green velvet and crimson satin, and their trappings were embroidered with hearts burning, and over every heart a lady's hand coming out of a cloud, holding a garden water pot which dropped silver drops on a heart. So the theme of this Shrovetide Joust was what appears to be unrequited love. We've got a man's heart burning for a woman, but she's quenching the flames of his ardour with her watering pot by pouring water over his burning heart. Now, this motto of "Declare I dare not" and this theme of what appears to be unrequited love have been taken as evidence that at this time, by the 7th of February 1526, the king was wooing a new love, and that love was Anne Boleyn, because of course Anne did reject his advances at first. Of course, though, we don't know for sure that this was the case. King Henry VIII didn't sort of mention her, didn't give any idea of, who this, motto and theme was aimed at. And, of course, it could be just that it was a theme for the Shrovetide Joust and any pageants that were happening, because this was a theme of chivalry. It was a romantic theme. So it could be that it was thought of by someone else and that it had nothing to do with Henry VIII or any love, new love or unrequited love that he was suffering. So we don't know. Now, Edward Hall goes on to record that many a spear was broken at that joust. And he also goes on to tell us of a nasty accident. He doesn't give any details apart from, by chance of shivering of the spear, Sir Francis Bryan lost one eye. That means that a spear, a lance, splintered during the joust, and that obviously this splinter went into Sir Francis Bryan's eye, destroying the eye, meaning that it had to be removed. So he lost an eye. Now, Sir Francis Bryan was very lucky, incredibly lucky, because he survived the loss of his eye, and he died a natural death in February 1550, so 24 years later. Because, of course, with the eye, a splinter from a lance could work its way into the brain, which is exactly what happened to Henry II of France. In June 1559, he was jousting in France, and a splinter from a lance entered his eye and went into his brain, and he died a few years later. So Francis Bryan, incredibly lucky. And today, just a few years ago in 2007, a reenactor who was reenacting, a medieval or Tudor joust was killed jousting when a splinter from the lance entered the slit of his visor, the eye slit of his visor, went through his eye and sadly into his brain, and he died. So jousting was and still is incredibly dangerous. So Sir Francis Bryan, what a lucky man. But even though there was that nasty accident that day in 1526, the day ended well. Edward Hall goes on to say that the king hosted a costly banquet with his wife Catherine of Aragon and all the lords and ladies. But yes, you'd start to wonder if this declare I dare not. The king may have hosted a costly banquet for his wife and her ladies and the lords and ladies, but was his mind actually elsewhere? Who knows? We just don't know. But what I will do is I'll leave you with some further reading on the various theories about when Henry VIII's interest in Anne Boleyn started. So I'll leave you some links in the description below where you can read a bit more about the sort of timeline of their relationship. So that's today's On This Day in History, the 7th of February 1526, and a joust at Greenwich Palace. You can subscribe to this channel by just hitting the button, which I think is somewhere around there. Of course, you can hit the bell as well and be notified when these videos go live. I'm so glad to read all your comments and to hear that you're enjoying these videos. I'll be back tomorrow with another On This Day in Tudor History. Take care. Bye-bye.